We're back out on the bass buggy, and today we're talking about one of the most important and helpful tips I can give you when it comes to going out on the water and enjoying yourself. Stick around, you don't want to miss this one. Welcome back to lowbrow fishing. And we've all had to deal with certain types of people from time to time. People who are very adamant about using their techniques their way, and how anybody who doesn't fish just like they fish is doing it wrong. That fun is not important, that it's the procedure, it's the process. And if you're not doing it the right way, well, you're just not a fisherman. You're not an angler, and you have no business being out there. And in some instances, that might be a bit of an extreme, but we've all met people who are very much like that. They're very stone hard set in their ways. And you can't really convince them of anything, even if you know they're wrong. And that's okay. Just leave them be. But sometimes that's easier said than done. And today's episode is a little bit different. I've got a story to share with you about a recent encounter that I had on the water. And, well, let's just get right to it. We got the old Texas marigama tied on just in case as a backup bait. And we're going to see if we can get anybody to say hello with that. Because these dudes are probably pretty shallow if that's the case. So we're going to see. But today's topic is the number one rule of fishing, and that is, if you're not fishing it, you have to fish it exactly the same way, otherwise you're doing it wrong. You have to do it exactly the same way, right? I'm going to tell you a story. I'm out here at the little lake a couple weeks ago, fishing, just minding my own business, having a good time. And I'm fishing pretty much in this same spot right here, right along this break wall, this little wooden break wall. And this older guy, I mean like older than me guy, he pulls up in his little he's got him an old Chevy pickup truck, and he pulls up and he gets out. He's watching me for a few minutes, and he comes down. You know, he wants to talk, and that's okay. You know, I'm not one of those guys that minds so much. As long as I still get to fish, and you're not getting in my way, I'm, you know, I don't mind. You know, have a little courtesy, though. If someone's trying to fish, let them fish. You can talk a little bit. It's not going to hurt anything. I don't care about that too much. But this guy, he had a fish just run at my worm. But this guy, he starts telling me, he asked me, he says, well, why you doing that? See, I've got I have a snap swivel. I'm fishing the wacky jig, and I got a snap swivel on it, rather than having it directly through the line tie. And that's how I do a lot of jigs. It lets me change out quickly and easily. I'm not going through a lot of string. I have my reasons. It's what I like. But this guy, he's telling me, he says, well, you know, that's wrong. You know, he says, you don't need to have a snap swivel in there. He says, that's doing it wrong. Well, and while he's standing there, I proceed to catch a fish. A nice fish. You know, nothing huge, probably a pound and a half or so, but it was, for the little lake here, it was a really nice fish. He didn't even faze him. Did not even faze him at all. He's still steady flapping his jaws at me, telling me that I'm doing it wrong. That I need to be doing it exactly like how he does it, how he's always done it, how he taught his kids when they fish. They don't do none of that fancy stuff. They tie it directly on there, and that's how they fish. And I'm trying to explain to him that I have my reasons for this, and this is how I fish. Well, he's not having any of it. He is just starting to blow a gasket here. He's getting, that's crass. He's starting to, get agitated. He has no idea why I just won't stop, cut, and retie, and do it exactly like how he says I should. He's just, he's getting very, very agitated. And I'm like, look, man, this is how I fish. This is what works for me. And he proceeds to tell me that that's not what fishing's about. That there's a process to fishing. And if you can't do the process right, then you don't need to be out here fishing. That you're giving fishing a bad name, and he's just giving me the business. And all I'm trying to do is just fish and relax. And I'm like, look, man, you do you. I'm clearly catching fish, because I caught a couple of them while he's standing there. He's just flapping his jaws at me, and he's just going to town telling me that I'm just doing it wrong. That I'm just not doing anything right. It's like, that's not how you do that. You're supposed to have it, that's not what a snap swivel's for, and people who use snap swivels don't know what the hell they're doing, and and yada, 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 this, that, and the other. And this old man is starting to get pretty hot at me. And I'm trying to, I'm trying to be cordial. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to keep my cool. And I'm just trying to fish around him, but he won't let up. He won't shut up about it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if I go off on this old guy, that's probably going to be all she wrote for me, because, I've got a YouTube channel now, right? So I could just picture, be my luck, somebody would be like, hey, YouTuber goes off on old man, gives him a heart attack, puts him in the hospital, and then next thing you know, I get canceled or something. But whatever. But this old guy, he is just not going to shut up. He is steady flapping his jaws, telling me that I'm doing it wrong. And I've caught 2 fish in the 10 minutes he's standing there. But to him, and I'm trying to show him, look, I'm catching fish. Look, this is how I do it. I can switch things up. But to him, that's not how it is. He's like, well, if you were one of my kids, I'd show you something or other, and you would never be fishing out here again if I had my way. And you're giving fishing a bad name, and it's guys like you who give the sport of fishing a bad thing, and you always changing stuff and always doing things differently, and you can't just leave well enough alone and follow tradition and all this other stuff. And he is just going to town. So finally, I had enough, and I was like, you know what? It was nice talking to you. And I'm thinking to myself, it wasn't, but, I told him, I said, it was nice talking to you. It's nice meeting you. I got to go home now. And undeterred, this guy is following me out to my truck. He's flapping his jaws, giving me the business the entire time. And he just does not stop. He's trying to talk as I'm getting in my truck and pulling away. He just wanted to make sure that whatever happened before I left, that I was going to change my ways and I was going to start fishing like he wanted me to. That was the most important goal in the universe to him. That I just, somehow come to my senses and realize fishing isn't about having fun and catching fish. Fishing is about following the process and doing it the right way. It doesn't matter if you're bored to tears. It doesn't matter if you're getting skunked. That's not the important part. Fishing is not about relaxing and catching fish. That's not what it's about. It's about following the right process. And if you can't follow that right process, you don't deserve to call yourself an angler. And I'm afraid I'm going to run over this old guy because he just won't get away from my truck as I'm trying to pull out. But I finally managed to pull out and leave. Oops, hole. Stepped in that hole and almost busted my back. But anyway, the moral of the story is, this whole reason I told that story is don't be like that guy. It's okay if people do things differently than you do. There are no set in stone rules. Now, we give each other tips, and in your mind, if you see somebody who's doing something, especially a newbie, especially somebody who's, brand new to fishing, you can probably say, hey, this is how you might want to do that. But at the same time, don't force it on people. That's not fishing. That's not how you fish. Fishing is personal. Fishing is very personal to people. I mean, it's how you do it, how you want to do it yourself. Just go ahead and do it. If you're having fun, and especially if you're catching fish, what is the harm? You know, I see people who get so uptight and they get so bent out of shape whenever somebody does something differently than they do, whenever they have a different idea. And you'll have these crazy arguments over the most silly things. You know, I use 10-pound mono, or I use 12-pound mono, and you're an idiot for using 12-pound mono. You should never be using 12-pound mono. You should be using 10-pound, you know. Like, who cares? You're catching fish, right? Are you having fun? So just let it be. We don't need, there's enough negativity in the world, and there's enough tribalism going on right now with everything. We don't need to be doing this stuff. Let's just fish and have fun and talk to each other and say, hey, I was really catching them on a jerkbait the other day. This is kind of how I was fishing them. And then somebody else would say, well, I was kind of fishing them on a chatterbait the other day, and I was kind of doing really good, and this is what I was doing. And, I mean, somebody doesn't agree with you, that's fine. I just had to get off that. I just had to get that off of my chest, because that I've been sitting on that for probably about a week now, and it drives me crazy. So, moral of the story, kids, don't sweat it. There's so many other things that we could be focused on in this world. Just let fishing be fun. If somebody's having fun doing it their way, even if they're not catching fish, and especially if they're not doing it how you think they should, who cares? It's not that important. There are more important things in this world than making sure everybody agrees. There are more important things in this world than making sure everybody agrees with how you do stuff. Because, truth be told, you're wasting a lot of time and energy, and in the end, it's like trying to herd cats. It's just, all right, well, rant over. So there you have it. Don't sweat the small stuff. We get very limited times on the water as it is. We should be able to enjoy those times that we do get. If somebody disagrees with you or has a different opinion, so what? Fishing is a very personal thing. Every angler has different techniques that they like, different presentations that they're comfortable with and they have confidence in. And that's okay. Everyone's allowed to fish how they want to fish best. Everyone's allowed to enjoy fishing in their own way. So as summer rolls into fall and those water temperatures cool off, the bite is surely going to heat up. And that is going to be fun for everyone. Thanks for watching Lowbrow Fishing. We'll catch you in the next one.